So, Alex, I want you to pitch this. So, last night you were in the group chat talking about the Hyman contract, and I stopped you because I'm like, bring it to the show. So,
Mhm.
you're thinking about why a 3-year deal makes sense.
Okay, first off, when I wrote in the group chat that I'm happy we haven't talked about it. I wasn't trying to make us talk about it on the show.
Oh, I know you weren't, but it
I
sounded interesting. It sounded
okay,
like content.
yeah. So I looked last night. It's either a 3 or 4 year deal around there. Well, I look at the way the rest of the contracts are structured term wise. Nylander and Matthews have 3 years left. JT and Marner have 4 years left after this year. And I think, okay, so what's the best way to structure Hyman's deal? I was leaning towards 3 or 4 years because, I mean, if there's not improvements made, especially over the next couple of years, they're gonna have to look at this core and say, okay, where did we go wrong and what do we have to change?
Mhm.
And I think if we ask ourselves and from what I've heard, it doesn't seem like it has to be a catastrophe in this city for a guy like Matthews to leave. But if there's rumblings that he wants to leave and we might have to dismantle this, dismantle that, it puts the Leafs in a good position that Hyman is either a UFA at the end of the year or a UFA at the end of the year after to get good assets if we have to somehow retool this core. It
Mhm.
puts the Leafs in a desirable situation and saying, hey, if we have to recollect assets, I don't see Hyman dropping off that much by the age of 31, 32. It is going to be a steep drop off eventually, the way he plays, but I still think they can recoup good assets at that point. Now, there's no reason Hyman should sign that length of a deal. I think if he were to hit the open market, he could get like a 5 year deal if he wanted to, because I feel like there's GMs out there who'd be willing to do it.
Matt Bolesky. Like he gets the Matt Bolesky contract.
Oh, Matt Bolesky.
Right.
Beloved
Yeah.
Duck.
That's
Shouldn't have
five,
left Anaheim, by the
that's
way.
5 times 5 for anyone who doesn't know what Matt Bolesky was.
Yeah, that's my reasoning.
Okay.
I like that. I like that a lot, where you could really kind of tell where this window is, what they're going to have to do in terms of a cap situation. It's what we mentioned with Colorado too, where they're being very particular about what they're going to take on for the next few years because they know where the most of the money is going to have to go. And yeah, I don't know, like I just kind of hope that there is that hometown, loyalty within Zach Hyman where, like, listen, I know it's a business, but I just kind of hope that he kind of understands like what his role is here and what he can provide for this team. Because again, like if he goes for the long-term deal in the offseason, I think that's something we're going to have to face as a reality, that if he's not there, that it's another thing you have to look for in terms of a plug there.
What I wonder is, because obviously the way you make up for a cap hit is with term, but it's just like you don't want to go too long with Hyman term because of the way he plays, right? It's like the back years of the Gallagher and Chris Kreider contracts are gonna suck, gonna suck. We all know that. And Friedman, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Like I have the gut feeling that he's gonna stay in Toronto. Like it just makes children's books and all that, right? So, like devil's advocate, and Friedman mentioned it a few years ago, like right now, this summer is the best chance Zach Hyman will ever have to make sure that he is paid and his family will never have to work again. Like children's books, I'm sure he gets money for it, but like he's not going to get $10 million.
Listen, R.A. Dickey made children's books too while he was in Toronto for the Blue Jays.
That's a name.
I can make the argument for why he should stay. Honestly, I'll be honest. If he takes a little bit less than market value, he will be beloved in this city. If he takes a little bit less, because there's no guy on this team, and I brought this up before, no guy on this team has taken a hometown discount. No one. No. The Nylander contract looks good, but I'd say that's more market value than anything.
Especially for the times.
Right. If he takes a little bit less and this team wins a cup, he will have a statue outside of this arena.
Let me ask you this though: would you rather a
Discount.
statue or $10 million?
But he can make that $10 million else. Like he can make that $10 million in Toronto without having to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
He
but
can-
He could make it for the sponsorship of the law firm.
sponsorship, there is monetary advantages to playing in Toronto and Montreal because they are the biggest hockey markets in this country and probably the entire league, right? Would you agree with that?
I'm just doing devil's advocate here, man. I told you, I think he's going to
okay.
stay. I'm just saying, like,
I think even if he takes a little bit less, and I know the taxes and all that, but there's smart people out there who can figure that out. Plus, he won't get the same advertisements somewhere else that he would get here. He's not getting Sokolov lawyer in New Jersey or in Florida. Like it's just that's the reality.
have some respect for the New Jersey Rent-A-Prize Entercar commercials there.
Sorry, but
I'm
think about it.
My wife stole half my money, so now I have to do these commercials.
But think about it, like who else in New Jersey is getting that type of advertisement? It's the retired goalie, and he's like, and he's not. I don't want to spark this debate. He is one of the best goalies of all time. I don't see, like, you know what I mean? Like there are monetary advantages to playing in this city. Even if he takes a little bit less, he can make that money back. It's not that big a deal.
Daniel.
That's my argument. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Again, like I agree with it. I think that what Hyman kind of views himself as, and what other teams really are going to view himself as well, that, and I'll use it again as another example, but I think it's more exacerbated on the other side, is when we look in the city like Norman Powell, where he's a guy where, you know, for basketball terms, he took a discount in his last extension. He was only making $11 million. But teams are still going to pay him like based on the production he's kind of had the last few seasons, right? They're going to overpay him. And I think that's just one thing to think about, where Zach Hyman has to really kind of balance out that aspect, what Elliot Freeman said, where he's going to go for the home run kind of thing. Like where I mentioned with Kyle Palmieri, like this is one of your last chances to really get that big deal. Or he's going to look at, okay, was the perfect situation for me. Like I just want to win. And I think in Toronto, like it's really shown, like it was such an under the radar move when they traded Craig McKegg for him, where at that time I actually was disappointed. I like Craig McKegg on the Marlies, but
Great name.
The way it's really developed and the way that he's really kind of refined himself from the NCAA to what Toronto's been with him, like they've been patient with him. They put him where I think he could really excel. And I think he himself has to see that situation and understand, like, am I going to have this same type of fit anywhere else if I sign for the big money? Or for example, if I go to another team that gives me the big money, I'm not going to have the same supporting cast, or realize that I am the supporting cast. I'm not the guy.
Well, yeah, and there's the question he has to ask himself. Listen, this is the summer for the guy. Not to mention, he's the type of guy that the way he plays and what he can do in the playoffs, again, Matt Bolesky, like he can make himself a hero and he can make himself a lot of money. So he's got to ask, is it the legacy or is it the all-in-one payday? And listen, it's weird. Alex mentions to me that no one's talking about his contract. It's nice because, you know, it's been nothing but that in Toronto for like 4 years now. Contract talk, I mean.